and welcome back to part 8 of Neptunia Reverse, where today we are reviewing the epilogue of Chapter 2, the intro of Chapter 3 because we don't really get much of a choice, and then we're doing the optional content that we can do so far. I say that, it won't be every single dungeon we can do, optional dungeon we can do right now, mostly just because the difficulty of them starts ramping up, so I go as far as I think is reasonable without over-leveling myself. I go as far as I think is possible for me to do, but then don't push any further beyond it. But first we have the last station chapter end scene. After this cutscene, Noir will no longer be in your party. Honestly, showing myself now would just make matters worse, so I'll first get back in shape before showing my identity. Do you have a plan? Plan? No, I'm just going to do my best to help everyone living here. Now that's the CPU Lady Blackheart I know and respect. Cut the honorifics, just call me Noir. I like that better anyways. It will take some getting used to, but okay, Noir. Compared to Noir, looking towards Nep. She's sound asleep. She must have been really tired. Coming through. Xian, is the factory all okay now? Thanks to you, we got a lot cleaned up. The rest is for tomorrow. So how's the factory, really? Most of it is in unworkable condition, not much to be done about it. Is that so? Huh? Xian, since when? I just arrived, sorry to wake you up, Sleeping Beauty. What are you going to do now? With the expo around the corner, I need the factory to be running first. So that means we won't have work for a while then. Sorry about that. Well, let's head back to Planetoone then. Yes, with no leads on the key fragment, I guess there isn't much choice. Here's your weapon back, Xian. Thanks. When the expo is near, come back. I'll ask you for more tests then. That would be great. I'm looking forward to seeing your new factory then. Count on it. I'll get everything back to full operation. Let me give up the weapon, so we'll be re-equipping the Claymore after this. Oh, sorry, after this scene. It's after the epilogue of this chapter, alright? I forgot that there's a lot of little pauses between it. Huh? Noah isn't coming with us? Don't call me Noah, it's Noir. Oh, come on. You can call me Neppy if you'd like. No, I won't. No, wait, why would I? You were sleeping back there, so you may not know, but I need to take care of things here first. Oh, and just when I thought we were going to be best buddies. Now, Nep, let's not bother Noir. We have to find the key fragment in last station so we can come back. True, we'll be back again. I'll be sure to greet you with open arms then. Oh, and Neptune, don't go around saying you're a CPU, you hear? I'm not sure about the other lands, but each have their own problems. That's right, if they find out, no telling what would come our way. Oh, I'm not that dumb, you know. I just revealed my identity right before the last scene, right? Just like in Fear. Oh, then I want to come out with the encore call. Ooh, good, Compa. And we'll have Iffy pull curtains backstage. IF, are you sure you're going to be fine? I'm fine. Or maybe not. I'm already getting a headache. And Noir has left the party. We're back down to 3 again. Painfully.
Whew, this place really is home. The bed is comfy, games all over, and puddings stocked in the fridge.
Great way to greet the new chapter, slacking off and all.
You're so serious, Iffy. We did a lot at last station, so give me a break.
Give you a break? Well, maybe if the break wasn't over a week already.
Come on, now's my only chance to cozy with the puddings, you dig? Who's gonna kick back now? It's me, yo.
Really? She's the CPU for Planetoone?
Nap. I made some tasty milk pudding.
Yay! Pudding! Milk pudding! Milky milk pudding!
Compa, you really have to stop treating Nep like a queen.
I know, but seeing Nep melt away with my pudding is just so cute.
Compa, this pudding is the bomb. Can I get some more of these morsels?
I'm happy you like them, Nep. More coming right up.
These two. Well, I guess it's better than being in peril now. I suppose enjoying the moment isn't bad. Well, I better get started.
Iffy, what you doing? Single player checkers? Single player rummy?
Oh, shut it. No, I was just checking the goddess's blog.
Huh? The goddesses are bloggers? Even Noir?
No, only the CPU for Leanbox, Lady Greenheart, has a blog.
Shucks. If Noir had one, I was gonna tease her over her entries.
Wow, that's low.
Anyways, what kind of stuff does she have up there? Like some pic shot of her licking pizzas or a self-made fantasy poem?
You really think a goddess would post random junk like that?
Let me see there. Monsters have been appearing of recent. Please be wary.
See? Lady Greenheart isn't a goofer like you. Now give me back my cell.
Oh, wait, Iffy, there's a hidden link here.
What idiotic nonsense are you saying now? Wait, you're right.
Let's see what's there. Click.
Wait a minute, Nep.
Welcome to my hidden page. I will be posting my private diary here.
Lady Greenheart's diary? You shouldn't read others' diaries.
Oh yeah, sure. I bet Iffy is going to check it out yourself, right?
Me? Look at Lady Greenheart's private life? No.
Way to look calm there, Iffy.
I would never do such a thing.
Come on, let's just read it out loud. Let's see now. I bought 6 new games. My backlog is getting too big.
Huh?
I can't wait to get my tsundere otaku eyeglasses set. Let's see. Can't play 4 goddesses online with the server error. Aww. So I guess Lady Greenheart is a gamer. What's 4 goddesses online anyway?
My image of Lady Greenheart, it's crumbling.
Oh, did the difference between image and reality shock you, Iffy?
I know. Basilicom must have made this to give her a more natural image. My Lady Greenheart would never be this much of a gamer.
Well, coming from a gamer like me, she smells like a full-blast gamer.
No, she's just trying to appeal to the public.
Oh, so you want to bet and see by meeting her face-to-face?
Sure then. If you're wrong, I'm taking 1 week's worth of your pudding.
It's on. Iffy, you better be ready to bring my prize on a silver platter.
This isn't the reason I expected we would go to Leanbox for.
Yeah, just how like Chapter 1 was Planetoone, Chapter 2 was Last Station, Chapter 3 is going to be in Leanbox. Because we are now officially in Chapter 3. The moment it transitioned from Noir leaving the party to that voiced cutscene, that was the end of Chapter 2 and beginning of Chapter 3. But as I have said many a times before, as it's now the end of the chapter, that means I will be using the sidetracking I could have done during the chapter now. So pick up the memory increase here. You want to do that, so you can have more room for making plans, especially because some of the better plans in the game are going to get very costly. And there's a few of them that you are going to absolutely want to get. There's a few plans later on, and it'll be like 100% escape chance. Be able to use a flee from anywhere. Have those two together at any point in a fight. You can just be like, no, I'm done, and leave. Instead of having to find an edge of the arena and then praying that you get lucky to do it, because you don't always guarantee an escape when you try. Obviously, for exploration purposes, higher jump will become a priority when going for 100%. It's kind of a nightmare how much work you got to do to get it, but it is what it is. And so that means because we're back to 3, Plutia is coming back in the party, but she will soon be permanently leaving. I say permanently, like leaving the main plot party. With certain side content, I may decide to bring Plutia in for the sake of giving me a fairer chance to get some content done a little sooner than before. But that's as and when it pops up. We got a new headpiece for the cat headpiece as well for Noir, not for Neptune. And to be honest, at least in this game, it pops up more often in the sequels. But in Nep 1, altering the setup of the HDD like equipment isn't too big of a deal. I'm not going to say completely ignore it. Every time you pick up a new piece, check out its stats, see what it can do, and work from there. But at the same time, don't lose sleep over it if you don't get that much throughout the course of the game. It's not going to have the effect you might think it does. In the second, and to be honest more dominantly, the third game onwards, new armor HDD setups become more significant. If you remember from my V2R playthrough, we changed HDD setups quite often throughout that game. But you're gonna see me kind of go through everything in the shop a couple times because it's bugging me that it keeps on saying there's something new in the shop. What it is that there's a new blank piece of HDD suit armor we can buy in the shop now. Blank pieces are to do with other stuff. Essentially, you can get certain materials to craft them into specific builds. So you're not just headhunting for a specific item, you can build them. Oh god, right. I need to talk about this fucking filter that they put on this dungeon in reverse. I don't know if it's in Rebirth 1 Plus, because to be honest, I'm not sure what Rebirth 1 Plus added or took away from the formula. But I know it's in reverse, because I'm looking at it, and it wasn't in Rebirth 1 that I played on the Vita. In all of the tech dungeons, like all the cyberspace dungeons, which is like this one here, also because of the filter, I completely ran past an item that I didn't spot. I get it on the way back though. They put color filters on everything. And like, I don't mind it because it makes it more like distinct, I suppose. But it does a number on your eyes. Like when I was recording for this game, after I did this dungeon, I took a break, and then in the next cyberspace dungeon, we get, because I'm a little bit further ahead. In my recording, I've just broken to chapter 4, so I'm not too far ahead if you looked at how much progress we've made already in this game. But at the same time, I'm not like I've finished the game like I had with Nocturne after a while. But there's another cyberspace dungeon that has another filter that's not near identical to this one. And in both instances, after I did the dungeon, I took a small break because it does a number on your eyes. Not just the dungeon itself, it's more so when you leave. Because your eyes adjust to the lack of colour that is brought on by this filter. And once you've completely adjusted, then you go outside the dungeon and suddenly your brain is smacked with every single colour of the rainbow. And it does, it gives me a headache. It's not the end of the world. It's not like some other games that have done like really strong filters and it's suddenly blown up colour in your face. Like an attack on your eyeballs. But yeah, I don't think it was their smartest decision in trying to spice up this dungeon by making it have colour filters. I think if they were going to do colour filters, they should have done filters that, you know, still allow colour. Not this, which makes everything just like a shade of maroon. Or whatever colour this is supposed to be. I mean, it makes darker costume pieces like nigh on pitch black. I mean, like if he's got a blue jacket, it doesn't look blue right now. So it does make darker colours more distinct, I suppose. And as someone who likes his darker colours, I guess that's a plus. But that's not saying much. It's not worth doing your eyes in. But here's an example. We can go around. There's a teleporter to get up there. But if we had expanded jump, yeah, there wouldn't be a problem. We could just hop up and explore.
Whoa, what's this?
And like I said, I think the biggest thing that makes it annoying is that the symbol to increase your jumping height isn't the easiest thing to find in the world in this game. It's not as hard as it is in some other games. Like I don't think I ever found it in I want to say it was Victory. It might have been the second game, it might have been the third, but it was either Mark II or Victory. But on one of them I should have never found it and just kind of accepted that there were some parts of a dungeon I couldn't explore. Because there are a few dungeons, more so in late game, where they will specifically have heightened platforms that there's no other way of getting on top of. That will lead to a one-way teleporter or an item or something along those lines. So the only way you can get up there is through the extended jump. It's something that I'm very glad the fourth game did. Which, to be fair, firstly, the fourth game made your natural jump about as high as the increased jump in this game, and then went out of their way to put the jump increase on the mandatory path. You got it after your second bout with Steamax. Like, come on, like the fourth game did it right. It gave you a jump that felt like could actually be used and helpful on its own, and then still made the jump upgrade feel worth it by also, oh, you know, making it on the main path. So you had reason to go back. It felt like a natural progression instead of just some weird little thing you have to find on the side. And here's me using up some more plannings. If I can get the intelligence booster, I can almost straight from there guarantee the destroy symbols. So if I encounter an enemy that's a lower level than me and get them on a symbol attack, it will just kill them. I think the only side quest in this game you're never going to see me do, like there's probably going to be a couple I'll end up missing throughout the course of the game, but I think the only side quest you'll never see me do is the Shampura festival. Because that's literally only there. I swear it's only there to see if you're paying attention. Because if you do it, it's an easy redoable quest that takes like 2 minutes to do, but it only hurts you in shares. Because it gives 9% to others and rips it from Planetoone, I think. But speaking of no shares, pull the Wii. By the end of the game, I'm being general here, but your best intention is to try and make it, Other is on 0, Other has to be on 0 anyway for you to get the true ending. And then the 4 nations, I believe like the range is like 23% to 27%. So essentially you need to make it relatively equal, and that will guarantee you the true ending. On Rebirth 1, when I did that originally on my Vita, I made it a clean 25 across the board, which you don't have to do. Like I say, it doesn't have to be that perfect. There is a little bit of breathing room. It's just what I did. Additionally, if you want to, in Rebirth 1 onwards, assuming you're not playing arranged mode, unlock the Little Sisters, they do have a way of making them playable and try and make a weird explanation for it in Super Dimension because they don't exist. Essentially, have the shares of a single nation break, I want to say 80 or 85%. And then you'll get a cutscene in that nation and it will say, oh, you now have access to this specific character. But it's really annoying because if you're trying to go for the platinum as in like the platinum trophy in Rebirth 1, you're in it for the fucking grind. Because that's it, ignoring the money trophy. The money trophy is the real goddamn grind of this game. Which I'm glad isn't in Reverse. The Reverse's trophy list is far more reasonable than Rebirth 1's, but I digress. Rebirth 1, other than the money one, which was like earn 50 million credits over the course of the game, and that was literally, you had to do like 4 or 5 New Game Plus cycles, and in the description it even said, was this the last trophy you got? It was like... The other one that was a nightmare is that every single playable character in Rebirth 1 had their own trophy for making them hit level 99. So for the majority of the cast, that's easy because you everyone levels up, everyone gets experience regardless of whether they're in use or not. The 4 Little Sisters, however, firstly they join at level 1, which is already problematic in their own way, because that means you just got to do more grind work. And secondly, you can only have 1 on you. If you unlock Nep gear by maxing out Planetoone, you can't then unlock Uni by maxing out La Station. Nothing will happen.
So, who wants to get beaten
It just
first?
won't accept that. So in Rebirth 1, if you wanted to get the platinum,
Out of my way.
you had to essentially, well at least what I did, save before you max out the shares, grind out the side quest until you boost the shares to the number you want,
We're strong.
get that character, grind them up to level 99, and then once you hit level 99, load up that old save, pick the next nation, do it again. On the plus side, you don't have to do it for 4 times, you only need to do it 3 times, because the game will yield and give you Rom and Ram with Louis, because they're both the Little Sisters of Louis. So it'd be kind of bullshit if they made you pick one or something. Especially because if you haven't played the main series or didn't watch my V2R Let's Play, Rom and Ram as a pair of characters are deliberately designed to bounce off each other. If you only have Rom in your party or only have Ram in your party, they'll fall apart and get killed kind of quick. Because one of them is the dedicated white mage and the other is the dedicated black mage, but they both have skills that bounce off each other. Sort of like Palom and Polom in Final Fantasy IV, where if you have them on their own, they're kind of worthless, and if you have them together, they're slightly less worthless. I say that, I'm being too harsh to Rom and Ram. Rom and Ram are not worthless at all on their own. It's just they really come into their own when they have each other.
I'll win again next time.
And yeah, and also if you don't know about the Little Sisters and whatnot, you're in for a shock if you then go out of your way to max out Leanbox, because you get diddle squat. But doesn't have a little sister, you get nothing for your efforts. And they carry that over into the sequel as well, but for a group of characters known as the Oracles, which, to my shock and amazement, with the exception of Histoire, the Oracles have only ever been in Mark II. And that genuinely baffles me, considering how significant they are to the story, and the fact that they are referenced and mentioned a lot in the 3rd and 4th game. They were mentioned by name in the 4th game. And it's like, what? Where are they though? Like the excuse they made in the 4th game for Vert's Oracle and her Oracle alone was that she was on holiday. And that was it. They didn't explain Louise' Oracle or Last Station's Oracle. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, essentially, in Hyperdimension, so you know the canon games, every CPU essentially has a secretary, has like a second in command that's got magic powers, but is mostly there to just be a supportive force for the goddesses. Neptune has Histoire. Last Station has Kai Jinguji, which I'm probably butchering that name, but it's just how it is. I'll explain who those characters are. Like Histoire, you might have already seen a little bit in this, but if you haven't watched my V2R Let's Play, Histoire is a very soft-speaking, but very harsh wording character, and that's the only way I can think to talk about it. She has a very soft and delicate voice, but she very much has a I am really tired of Neptune's shit attitude of everything. She's always like having to fix all of Neptune's problems because Neptune's too lazy to deal with it herself, and always reprimanding Netgear, Neptune's little sister, for always kind of spoiling Neptune and letting her get away with murder. But that's essentially Histoire. Histoire is the Oracle of Planetoone. So basically, when the idea being when Neptune's away, she takes charge, but she isn't a goddess and she's a power. She is literally like a deputy. She is like a secretary. But Kai or K is the same for Last Station, and the way Kai is that she is very backhanded compliments. Well, I made a joke about it in the review, but she's very much the sort of person to say, for an idiot you look kind of pretty, or I'm trying to think of other examples, but you get the idea of what I mean. Like she's very much, everything she says has something hateful in it, but she says it with just enough compliments with it that you kind of sit there and you have to kind of take it. But she's just like, you're kind of smart for someone so, and then some insult here or there. Like that's her entire character. Like I made a point in my review of saying like she's my least favorite Oracle. Like I'm not a big fan of her character because she's just so arsey. Like she's just that one friend that just makes you always feel kind of like, ugh. Even though she does mean well and does like get her back in gear when she needs to, she is just that kind of character that always just would rub me the wrong way if I knew someone like that in real life. As for Louis, they have Mina Nishizawa. I had to think for a second how that last name was. And Mina is not only like with everything else, she very much takes over the babysitting role for Rom and Ram, where Rom and Ram are the youngest of like any goddess or like god-like character. They're like a pair of 10-year-olds in terms of design and look. Also, we finally got the ability to make intelligence boosters, so you know I made it and then brought it immediately so I can make destroy symbols. So there we go. And she is a stern but loving character. Like she's probably the most heartfelt one of the lot. Also, be wary coming in here. If you decide to keep on pushing into the Gravidays ruins, which yes, that is a reference to Gravity Days or Gravity Rush as it's known in the West. Be prepared. If you come in at this stage, like straight after Chapter 2, you're gonna get your shit kicked in. They don't really want you in here yet. You're gonna see me kind of fight for my life to get through here. And I'm pretty sure if I didn't have Plutia with me, it really wouldn't go anywhere near as... I say near as well. You're gonna see it really fall apart a couple of times during here. But it wouldn't go as well as it kind of does. But Mina is stern, but probably the most loving. And I think she's probably like... I say like my favourite, but it's kind of hard to pick a favourite when Histoire's the only one that continuously is in every game. I mean, I'm right in front of me above my TV. I have a 10th anniversary scroll for the Neptunia series, and it has every significant character in it per se. It has all 4 of the goddesses. It has both Neptune and Purple Heart like sharing the spotlight in the middle. It has Adult Nep, Plutia and Pishi on one side in the background. It has all the little sisters, Uzume, Korone, Iffy and Compa, which makes sense for Iffy and Compa considering their significance always been like Nep's best friend and Nep's like extras. It has Umio, which is like just because it's the tie-in and the joke character, and it has a character that I'm not going to spoil, but they're significant to this game and this game alone. That's why I'm not spoiling them. And then it has only Histoire. It doesn't have any of the other 3 oracles, and I feel that they should have been there. but they're just not for some reason. Like I said, after the second game, they're just not brought up again. Well, so they are brought up, you just never see them again, and I always found that kind of weird that they decided to do that. I think they're in either Victory or Rebirth Free Victory as DLC, but that's it. They're not actually in the story at all, and I just thought that's kind of weird that they introduced them, and they're still acknowledged, they just never show up. But for the last one, we have Leanbox, which is Chica. And Chica, I feel like was almost built to be a taste of Vert's own medicine. Because Vert, as you'll learn, is not only extremely flirtatious, she's also kind of needy. And this applies to both the Super Dimension version and the Hyper Dimension version. The reason why a lot of people prefer the Super Dimension version of Vert even, myself included, as we get our shit wrecked here because that enemy decided to go viral. And look at our health now. This is a very dangerous situation. And I ended up trying to run away, but the enemy was too strong, so it didn't let me. So I was like, oh great, I have to actually fight my way out of this. Oh god. But the reason why people prefer Vert in Super Dimension is because she's still herself, and she's more flirtatious than she is obsessive. Like, yes, she is needy, but she's still her own character with her own needs and cheekiness. Whilst in Hyper Dimension onwards, well, you saw it in V2R, she does lean a little bit more into the obsessive and sometimes slightly creepy. And it's kind of, they made it like her only real thing of her character, whilst in this game you'll see there is more to Vert than that flirty nature. Like, there is a lot more under the hood. While starting with the second game, they kind of slowly but surely transform Vert into, she is going to flirt with everything that moves, especially if it's younger than her. Which is why she's always trying to quote-unquote adopt Nep gear. Like, she's obsessed with having a little sister, and obsessed with like having like her wish come true. To such an extent, they kind of really downplayed her character in V2R. Because near the end of V2 and V2R, you get a glimmer on the inside of everyone's deepest wishes. Of like what their biggest struggles are. And two of them are very interesting. Nep's is very interesting, and Noir's are very interesting. But on the flip side, Blanc and Vert got thrown heavily under the bus with their character development in those dream sequences in V2, and I criticised it a lot at the time because it genuinely annoyed me that they tried to downplay those characters and everything that they'd been in their development over the course of the games, to Blanc just being obsessed with the fact that she has a small chest, and Vert just being obsessed with having little sisters that are just like her. It's like, no, there was so much more to them than that joke. It's just a joke. Why did you make a joke part of their character? It was something that genuinely annoys me with it. Whilst with Nep and Noir, they did so much more with them, and you could really understand where they were coming from based on their character development up until now. Knowing that Noir, despite her pride and honor to her country, which shines through in literally every single version of the character, whether it's the Super Dimension version that we're seeing here, the Hyper Dimension version that is the main version, or even in the third game where you go to Ultra Dimension and meet that version of Noir, she's also super prideful of her homeland. She still kind of desperately wants to be rid of that to an extent. She would love nothing more than to be able to live her own life and not have to worry about everything that comes with the due course of ruling a nation, essentially. Like, she has great pride in her home, but it doesn't mean she finds it easy, and sometimes she does wish she could just be herself. And that might be the only thing that's like holding her back from, other than her tsundere routine, from admitting her feelings to Nep. But at this point, I'm just theorizing, so I'll cut that short. As much as I so want something to actually happen with that in the 5th game, and I will keep bringing it up, because if anyone hears me, anyone at all, I would love for it to be known and actually somehow become a thing in the future of the series. Also, there's our optional boss for this area, and you're going to see me swerving for now, because it's like, no, if I'm going for that thing, I'm going it with everything. Mainly, everyone in my party is either 23 or 24 in terms of levels. So I want to get them to 25 before I fight that thing, just because then I have access to EXE drives. Which, regardless of whether you do these optional dungeons or not, you should get your EXE drives around the start or early of Chapter 3. If you get them in Chapter 2, I guarantee you you're over-leveled. If you get it in Chapter 3, you're probably doing just fine. regardless of how early or late in Chapter 3 you get it. Also, both IF and Compa got stuck on that lip for some reason. There is something that's a little weird. Like, when they added your party following you, which I think was V2R's inclusion. Like, I don't even think it was in base V2.
Lucky.
When they added the whole, your party tails along where you go, it feels like they never quite clicked what they wanted to do with the AI, you know? Like, it always feels like the AI will follow you, but they get stuck a lot. Thankfully, they have a safety measure where if they get stuck and make too much distance, they will be teleported back to you. Which is something that I can tell you now, Persona 4 could have done with if they were going to have party following you. The amount of times you'd lose Yosuke on a corner and you'd never see him again was something else. Especially like the sauna. Like the bathhouse sauna, that dungeon, with how small those doors are, you rip round them on the corner, yeah, you lost them. You lost half your party there. They get stuck. But now it's time for that optional fight. I decided to bring all 4 of the goddesses here, and I did do a teeny tiny bit of grinding off screen to at least make sure that one of the characters in the front line would have an EXE drive. Because this thing will end me. If all the basic enemies are giving me as much trouble as it is, the boss of the area is not gonna, you know, be a cakewalk. So you'll see me like kind of lead the assault very aggressively. Speaking of aggressively, Uzume's still kind of aggressive on the ears in Orange Heart form. So it might not be your wisest choice to have the volume up too much. And before you start going early in it, no, it applies to both. It's the whole point of the character that when she goes Orange Heart, she turns into a Valley Girl. It's the entire premise of her character, is that she's this real toughy, like, tomboyish character normally. But when she transforms into Orange Heart, she goes full on Valley Girl. And the fact that she uses a megaphone as well just means that high-pitched, super energetic voice is going for a megaphone. So, yeah, it's not always the nicest on the ears. I suppose in that sense I should be grateful of the PS5's idea to make it that it mutes all audio in Share Factory, which I still personally would rather them change that, or at least make it an option. And I'm going to keep on bringing it up, probably for the rest of time, because I call it a hunch, I don't think they ever will. Some of the changes they've made with Share Factory PS5 since it's come out, some of them have been really good, to be fair. Like, expanding how many clips you can add to a project, not just in terms of video clips, but audio clips and extra layers as well, is a godsend. Because it means the next time, if ever, I do a review, I can be a lot more relaxed about how I handle it. Because one of the biggest struggles that I have when I used to write reviews is that you only have a limit of 50 clips originally. So that's why sometimes a clip would go on for a very long time, or they'd be slightly out of place compared to what I'm talking to. Like Dragon Star Varnir was the best example of that, where there was a part near the end where I was talking about gameplay mechanics, and in the background it was cutscenes instead of gameplay. And that was entirely because I only had 50 clips to work with that I could use. So at some points I had to let a clip be longer to give me more room to talk. But it was also voice channels. You could only have up to around 9 or 10 voice channels. They've doubled that since then. So I can pause the recording. Like say, when I'm doing my review, if I stumble on my words, I can pause it there, cut back a second so it gets rid of my stumble, and then start from there. But that would count as a second video clip, as a second voice clip from that point, because there's a cut in the middle. Which would become problematic, because it would mean I couldn't make too many mistakes. Otherwise, I'd have to start redoing bigger chunks to make it less clip numbers in total. Here's an EXE drive, by the way. All of them are super flashy and cinematic, and it's kind of, for a lot of the time, it's in the early games especially, it's the testing ground for animated attacks full stop. If you play a lot of other Idea Factory stuff that they've been a part of or worked on, especially the stuff they worked with GJRPG, you'll know that they get a lot longer and get a lot flashier. When I say that, some of Dragon Star Varnir are a bit weak, but you know what I mean. That they do a lot more with them. That is because this game, like Net 1 and Net 2, were both giant like playgrounds for it, essentially. Like, you're going to see some very varied EXEs. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. Like, they just kind of sit there and you go, oh, okay. It's not like here with Uzume, where Uzume comes from the 4th game, where they were far more comfortable and experienced, and in the 4th game, they kind of show off sometimes, like with Umio Heaven, which is still one of my favourite specials. And I think that's the thing that was interesting. As someone who hasn't played base V2, I was curious to see what attacks from Uzume's specials were actually originally EXEs. Because as you may know, in V2R, when they changed the gameplay to make everything all smoothed up, they completely dropped EXE as a system. They just made it so it costed more MP to use like the super strong attacks. And it also cost like turn points, because that's how they did it different in that game. Instead of making it your actions push you back and yada yada, every time it's your turn roll around, you get like action points, and every single skill in the game costs a certain amount of action points. So you can essentially do a lot in one turn until your action points hit 0, or you could not use them to build up more to use them more later. But I'm getting off topic now. The point is that the EXE drives, the early character ones are big testing grounds for it. The later ones, in like the 3rd and 4th game especially, are just showing off. And that being said, next time on Neptunia Reverse, we're finally going to break into Chapter 3 with Leanbox. But until then, take care now. Peace.